podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest Liverbird pod. I'm delighted to be back. We've had a very busy period through December, so we've got lots to talk about. I have my two regular contributors, Amy, Kate and Randy, with me, and I'm delighted we have a special guest appearance of having flown in from Asia to join us for this special Christmas pod. So welcome back, Mollie. Hello, ladies. How are you all?
Hello. Hiya.
Oh, hello.
Great to have you back, Mollie.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to be here.
We've got the band back together. So let's kick straight off because there's a lot of games to go through. We're going to start with the most recent first. So, a delightful 5-0 win against West Ham to round off the 2024 footballing calendar. So, Randy, let me start with you. Did you get to see the game? And if so, what was your lasting impressions of our game against West Ham?
Yes, I saw it, and what a delight! It was such a nice watch, wasn't it? It was, we've been quite good lately. I can't remember since I was angry at us at all, but we've had bad starts, haven't we? So this match, I was like looking for how are they getting on at the beginning, and we're away, and are we going to let them into the game early on like we usually do? But no, not at all. And we actually could have scored 3 goals before that first one as well. So wow, it was just a great watch.
It's nice when you can relax into a game, I think, as opposed to sort of being on tenterhooks. Mollie, let me come to you. That I'll pick up from sort of Randy's point. So Mollie, as well as starting slowly in some games, recently we've also seen a slightly unpleasant habit of also conceding early goals. What did you think about the setup against West Ham defensively? Did we make any tweaks? Did you see anything differently?
I think, yeah, it felt a little bit more, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, it felt a little bit more that it was Liverpool were kind of pressing a little bit more, kind of pressing kind of quite high up, and it was kind of almost like that kind of high press was the defence, and so rather than kind of playing from the back, the set was a little bit more, it was a little bit higher up the pitch, and I just think, I mean, it obviously worked, and so I think it was kind of just tactically a little bit different than what we've seen previously.
Yeah, I think we probably had a little bit of luck as well, and I agree with Randy in that we probably should have scored a couple of more goals before we did actually take the lead. West Ham also, hit the post a couple of times as well, and on another day maybe they could have gone in, but I think when you look at our overall performance, there's no there's no sort of arguing that we definitely deserve to win that game. In terms of the front line, Amy, Kate, we've we've had a lot of sort of praise for Mohamed Salah, but one of the things that Arne Slot sort of said in his press conference was the fact that he liked that the goals were being shared about. What's impressed you around how our sort of front lines are, and we are rotating them as well, about how they're operating together?
Well, you can see that they're cohesively working together. There's no they're working as a team opposed to one being greedy. Mo's has the record right now of the most assists and goals. I mean, they're sharing the love and working together and seeing, if I can't do it, where is the other players? They're paying attention to where everybody is. That's what's really kind of cool, is seeing the teamwork. It's there's no I in team, right? So it's really cool to see how they're all working together. Mo had the ball, he could have shot. He realized, one of the plays in the game Sunday was he ended up passing it, and Gakpo ended up scoring. And it was just it's so cool to see how they all work together cohesively. That
it is. And it's also, I think one of the things that I picked up, having been consuming all of the content following the game, is we were so comfortable at certain part that Verge was going up front, and sort of running through, which is not behaviour.
It just looked they looked at ease. They just looked like they were having a good time, and there was no stress. It was enjoyable to watch. There was they were just playing fabulous football, really. It was great to see that, to see how it was like they were reading each other's minds, that they know each other and how they move and where they go. Trent would just literally put it at Mo's feet. It was just the precision of passing has been incredible this season. That's a huge difference, I think, that in previous seasons. I mean, they're just gelling together as a team. It's the same team, but we have a great team that's somehow even better, and it's beautiful to watch.
Well, we may well come on to that. I mean, what was delightful, obviously, was the clean sheet alongside the scoring 5 goals, but also to, because Jota's been coming back from injury, but to see him on, and he's so clinical, and to get another goal is, can only be good. I don't think he lacks in confidence, if I'm honest, but can only be good to reinforce his level of confidence. I think the only sort of fly in the ointment really is the injury to Gomez. Because we are light at the back now. And I don't know, Randy, whether you've seen or heard anything about where we are with Konate and Bradley in terms of their potential return from injury, but we have little or no centre-back cover now, depending on how bad the injury is to Gomez. I guess our other option is to put Endo in there. If something else happens, we just need to keep everything crossed. Nothing else happens. But yeah, I find it interesting. And sorry, this isn't a question. This is just a comment before I go back to the question I asked you. But I find it really interesting where, there's this narrative that we've had no injuries during this season and everybody else has had a terrible time. We may not have had exactly the same amount as Man City, but it's not like we've had no injuries. during this season. Anyway, do we know whether we're likely to see Konate and Bradley, in time for our next game? Do we think?
Well, hopefully we are. I think Anna has said something like Konate is going to be back in training and possibly ready for Man United, and that would be marvelous, wouldn't it? Because I mean, let's face it, Kwanzaa has had a terrible time up till the last game, because then, talking about confidence, I mean, he looked so much better, and he was better. And I think he was flawless yesterday, but I think we could do with some cover on that spot. So yeah, hopefully Konate is at least on the bench against United. And talking about the injuries, I mean, we've had our first keeper out for like months, and Konate for months, and so it's not like we haven't had them, and Elliot and all the rest of them, but it looked good with Consular yesterday, and it will definitely be marvellous to see Konate back. So let's hope for that.
Yes, let's keep our fingers crossed for that. And obviously, we've had a lot of games in a relatively short space of time. So, alongside West Ham, we obviously had the Leicester game on Boxing Day. Another win, wasn't great to see us concede so early in that game. But, I don't know about you, Amy, Kate, but we appear to be somewhat, in some games, of a second half team. Even though Leicester had scored, I genuinely wasn't worried. I mean, I don't know how you felt watching the game. I'm assuming you managed to see the game on Boxing Day. But I genuinely didn't think we wouldn't get something out of the game. My only worry was it might only be a draw, but once we equalised against Leicester, I always felt that we were going to go on and win that game.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
This is MLS and U.S. soccer commentator Brian Dunseth here to tell you the only podcast you need to fulfill your weekly soccer needs. It's Week in the Tackle.
And I'm Tom Rennie. We'll talk the Premier League title race, the Champions League, MLS expansionism, and the ongoing disappointments of our respective teams. It's all on Week in the Tackle.
Didn't your West Ham just win a European trophy?
Ah, that night in Prague. Sorry, what were we talking about?
A Week in the Tackle available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I felt that, here we go again with the conceding, but it was a different feeling that, in previous seasons, that we had something to worry about. I felt like, oh, okay, they're gonna have to kick it up a notch now. And it was just, you're right. I felt the same way about not really worried. I was like, oh, we'll get another one. I mean, it was like a tennis match, back and forth. it was actually kind of fun to watch as long as we won. But I was like, okay, there's lots of things to learn from that. And you see the next game is a completely different result, different team, but different result. And then they're such a phenomenal team, and they work together so cohesively that I just thought I had the confidence that we would be able to dig deep and get it out, and that's what we, and get the result, and we did.
And I know that, I know it seems like a lifetime ago now, but actually we then had the madness that was the Spurs game. And Randy, that was just, I think I was more frustrated than anything at that, because we were 5-1 up and we deserved to be 5-1 up. And then it just felt like we went to sleep for 10 minutes. To be fair to Spurs and Ange Ball, as they like to call it, Spurs are, much to, I think, to the annoyance of some of their supporters, it doesn't look like Spurs will change their style or their approach. So they were always going to keep going at it. But it felt like we got sloppy in that game, and that frustrated me, because you never know in this season, maybe it'll come down to goal difference. So I was a bit frustrated about that. Did you? What did you take from the Spurs game?
Oh, that was such a crazy match. I mean, frustrated that we conceded those goals, but more frustrated that we were not 8-1 up. Because we should have been. If we could have scored 9 or 10 goals, nobody would, say anything against that, because we were so dangerous going forwards, and I don't think we would have let any more than 3 in anyway. But it was crazy, and I think looking at Spurs now, they look a bit like we did a couple of years ago when we were like dangerous as crazy going forward, but really leaking the other end. Letting goals in bonanza all the time, and you could never rest, and you could never be calm. And I think that's what Spurs feels now. But whilst I am so much calmer this time around, although we are letting some goals in some matches, maybe we've stopped that now, I don't know. But, I'm still calm, and they are calm, and they are patient. And that's why I'm looking at these matches, even that one, being absolutely sure we were going to win. And let's face it, that was Salah's number 100 at Anfield, wasn't it? He had a goal. Did he have an assist in that match? Maybe not. Maka had 2.
So he had...
No, Salah had an assist as well. He had 2 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah, he had 2 goals and 2 assists in the game.
In the Spurs?
Yes.
Wow. He is crazy. I mean, we have to talk about Salah on his own, I guess, because all the stats on him now is even beating himself, from a couple of years ago. So,
well,
that's crazy.
It's just, we're sort of running out of words and superlatives and all rest of it, because he's, as you say, he's having his statistically best ever season, and this is his 8th year with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, before the turn of the year to have, 30 goals and assists in the season.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. He's, his goals and assists per game is something stupid. Like I don't know. Did I say something? It was about like 58 minutes, or I don't know, something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The amount. He's topping every league in Europe. I'm sort of struggling to, like you say, and he's now ahead of Thierry Henry in terms of the amount of goals per game. He's gone ahead of David Beckham in terms of all-time Premier League assists.
That's crazy.
And he
just did that one.
And he's got I was trying to think who it is. Gerrard's the next one on the list, and I reckon he'll overtake him within the way he's going the next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
it's just utterly sublime. And I guess we probably will talk about his contract or whatever. But yeah, sorry, Amy, Kate, you wanted to say something.
Oh, I did. No, I figured we were going to talk about him, and I looked up a couple of stats to kind of just throw out there. In 18 appearances, he scored 17 goals, 13 assists, and that just overtook Suarez from the 13-14 season that he did it in 19 games. So that was interesting, and he's the first player to score an assist in 8 games. Or 8 matches in a Premier League season, and it's just, I mean, it's almost like they're making up things now because like nobody's ever done these things, and it's just and I do want to laugh because
records.
Yeah, it's just insane, and it's funny because we look back when he first got here and he was phenomenal, and everybody's like one hit wonder, and you go back all these all the way through, and it's like he's consistent, and I remember when he didn't score as many as he did the first season, and everybody's like, see, and I'm like, really? It's crazy. And you're right, I think he's probably in the best form he's had ever, and I don't understand like how the process of contracts are and what they're discussing, but it's just insane to me that he's even said he would take a 1-year contract, and I'm just going, but he's Salah, it's just it's crazy. I mean, he's gonna break all the more records. I mean, there's records I didn't even think about that didn't even know existed. It's just like, wow.
And he's so happy, isn't he?
Oh, he is. He wants to be there. We want him there.
He wants to be there. We want him there. I mean, one can only assume that the debate is about the length of the contract. I don't know. That he hasn't got anything to prove. I mean, one of the other stats that is that's come out is that, and again, I think he might be the first one in the Premier League era to do this, or one of the very first, is minimum of 20 goals a season, 8 consecutive seasons.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's another one.
I don't, like you say, you're sort of running out of things to say about him. And when we think about, we've had conversations over the years around all of the, the fouls that he didn't get, the penalties that were never given against him for, him being pulled out. Think of, his stats could have been even better than they are, and they are ridiculous.
Yeah.
They are utterly ridiculous. So
he right now has overtaken Haaland for the race for the Premier League Golden Boot too, by the way.
Yeah. Which and if he carries on playing like that, because there's no reason why he couldn't end up with the Golden Boot. The fact we don't, Man City managed to scrape a win against Leicester. So we don't know. Is that a turning point? Is it cul-de-sac? Is it because they're still wobbly. They're still struggling. So we'll see we'll see where that takes them. But in terms of Salah, I know there's a lot of stuff going, give him whatever he wants, give him a 20 contract, give him this, that, the other. FSG don't operate like that. But I hope to God, right, that Richard Hughes and Billy Horgan and Michael Edward realise what they've got, because there are exceptions that prove the rule. And he is clearly one of them. You look at the way he's playing now. He could play like that until he was 35, right? 36. I truly believe that his lifestyle, the way he looks after himself, the fact that he is so driven and just loves playing football, all of those things, I think, put together with, the fact that he's loved, by the fans, that he loves the city, his family are very sad. All of those sorts of things. Why would you let him go, and also let him go for nothing? Right? It just makes no commercial sense to me whatsoever. And you can't replace him. There is no like for like for Mo Salah. You have to change the way you play, or bring in a couple of whatever. I don't know.
And that's going to cost as well. I mean, that's going to cost time and money and all the rest of it. And I think he's even got better under Armour. It's like he really fits into it. And so why, when he's at this peak, of course, it could be falling down in a couple of years, but that's still a couple of years. Oh, I really, really hope he stays. Oh, I can't even think about it.
No. And the question is, where would he go? This is the other question. Is where would he go? I can't imagine he wants to go to Saudi Arabia. He's still at the peak of his powers. But you can't tell me that, that the issue, I think, is around who else could afford him. And that's a very small list of clubs. But, would he want to go to one of the very small list of clubs who could potentially afford him? I don't know. But I think we do, he did his traditional family Christmas tree photo, which I'm sure boiled some people's piss somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was lovely to see. Really enjoyed seeing that. And
it's cute.
As you said, he's ahead of Haaland in terms of the Golden Boot competition. So before we preview the next game, then why don't we talk a little bit about Haaland and Man City? Because between the last pod and this one, we talked about the fact that we thought the Feyenoord game might be really damaging, with them having been 3-0 up and gone to 3-3, and it kind of imploded into being period. This game that they won against Leicester is their first win, I think, in 13 games.
And Leicester, I believe, is 19th in the table right now.
Yes, and
they struggled to win that.
They did. And going into that game, statistically, they were the team with the worst form in the Premier League going into that game.
Actually, they're 11th. I just looked at it. I was wrong.
It's crazy though. I've never seen City have that kind of form since they weren't City as we know them now.
Yeah.
It's weird, strange, and probably
delightful.
And delightful indeed. But I was sort of a bit anxious on behalf of Mr. Pep there a couple of times, with his scratches, and it looked like his head was going to go off. So I wonder how it's been in that camp last couple of months. But apparently they can still score goals, although they can't defend. So that's a good thing.
Exactly, because the better teams will still find a way to score against them, because they are really quite wobbly. I think that they got Akanji back, and then somebody else got injured, didn't they? So, and I'm not saying that they don't have a lot of injuries, but I'm saying other teams have got injuries as well, and yet are managing to make somewhat of a better fist of it. The other bit I find interesting is, because this has never happened to Guardiola, right? He has a reference point for this, because he played for Barcelona, then he managed the second team of Barcelona. Then he managed Barcelona, then he went to Bayern Munich, then he came to Manchester City, with unlimited resources and teams. I think he's never been in a team that's had a run of games like this. And I do genuinely, part of you talk about him sort of scratching his head and whatever, genuinely, I think he's as well as literally, he's figuratively going, I don't know what to do, because I've had this before. What do people do when they lose a load of games or one off? And it's a complete anathema to him. And this thing. So I do expect City to come out of this. Because, you look at this, they will get players back, and, stuff will happen. They're talking about going into the market in January, getting players, But I do find it interesting that he is really struggling to come up with answers, because it's a complete and utter, you think for him to be in a team that loses. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's so funny.
For us,
I mean,
not funny. You're like, it's so funny. It is though. For us, it is. It is. No, when you see a team like City that is dominating, but there's that saying, what goes up must come down. And they're coming down. But at the same time, they've never been like this before. But they've had some losses. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago. They still ended up winning it. I'm hoping they're too far back. But I wouldn't be surprised if they still, get 4th place and get in the Champions League. It's just, I wouldn't rule them out and get too complacent at all. But it is enjoyable to see them not being, top of the table. And speaking of that, interesting to see. I mean, great to see us up there, but Forest is now 2nd. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? Forest, the second, 8 points behind us. Yeah, that is 8 points behind, and I can't see them lasting a whole season. If they are winning all their games, we have to win bar 2 of our games. And I think it's ours to lose now, because if we are going steady, City are 14 points behind. So even if they win all of theirs, we really have to lose a lot.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.